in the months ahead to draw up a financial program. For more on the IMF proposals for Barbados, we're being joined from Bridgetown by the economist Jeremy Stephen. Hello, Jeremy. Thank you so much for your time. What exactly is the IMF proposing or demanding of Barbados?
Well, here's the thing. They're not demanding anything new at all. They're demanding a reduction in current expenditure, so a reduction in, let's say, goods and services, transfers to state-owned enterprises. They're also demanding that wages are kept constant as opposed to the current proposal that is being pushed in Barbados, that wages should rise in the public service by 4.5%. They're also advocating for the debt reprofiling, but they caution that while we are looking to reprofile our debt, that the government not pursue it in a unilateral fashion. That being, it has been reputed that the Prime Minister made the decision to selectively default on our overseas debt, our foreign debt, funnily enough, without consulting foreign investors. So there's a number of things as well that they mentioned with respect to like free education up to tertiary level. They're saying that that's not going to be possible, particularly given the environment we are in. They're saying that you should look more so at tax harmonization as opposed to repealing certain taxes that the Prime Minister mentioned that she wanted to repeal. Yeah, there's a few more things that are minor, but basically those are the headline items that the IMF are cautioning against right now.
Now, Mayor Motley came into office promising to protect public services, pensions, free university education. That free university education was a big thing on her campaign trail. How is she going to be able to explain that to the population? Do we know as yet if she's fully on board with that aspect of the advice? And how is she going to be able to explain that to the population?
I don't believe that she will be on board with that advice. I will tell you, since free tertiary education was removed in Barbados since 2013, 2012, 2013, and funnily enough, I work for the same tertiary institution that I would love to have the free education again because it really does help by the way of revenue. But she has been a staunch fighter against the removal of free tertiary education. So I know it's not going to resound with her particularly well. I will say that most Barbadians, however, do not think it is likely, although most people would like it to happen. Most people don't believe that it's likely, considering that the government owes the University of the West Indies upwards of 500 million Barbados dollars, so that's 250 million US and above. Further to that, the pensions, actually, the rising of non-contributory pensions and contributory pensions are actually were the bigger pulls, if you can call it that, or the bigger things that people wanted or they liked from her campaign. And those the IMF also cautioned against. Funnily enough, that's running in line with what most economists locally were saying, that although the gesture is good, our economy is built on what you call a high social safety net for all. You want to be reasonable and you want to protect your vulnerable. And I understand the political ideology there, that you want to ensure that if there is some form of austerity, that the older amongst you can survive. But it's not, I still don't see how it's fundable. And clearly the IMF agrees with me as well, and others.
Yeah, but you just spoke about the high social safety net that the economy is based on. How are the IMF proposals going to affect the poorest in Barbados and the most vulnerable in Barbados' society, especially since it's not just an economic thing, it's a cultural thing as well?
Well, I'm glad that you look at it from that way as a global person as well. It will clearly affect the poor. I will say that I think 2 Thursdays ago, if my memory serves me correct, or was it last week? Last week, Thursday it was. The Prime Minister noted that she will do all that she can to protect the vulnerable. Again, part of our cultural identity is one that believes that a social safety net and our very treasured exchange rate of 2 Barbados dollars to 1 US dollar is something that you should not mess with, that you shouldn't tamper with. So it's going to be a tough sell, I must say that. But unfortunately, we have allowed the situation to degrade way too long. And it's not necessarily this incoming government's fault directly. One can argue that when they were last in power some 10 years ago, up to some 10 years ago, that they very well contributed to the situation, and I can neither refute nor agree with it. Well, then again, no, I can't refute it. But at this point, the situation it's generational right now, and there will be some form of austerity. There's no clear way out of it unless government tries to find some big source of funding from some other sovereign country like China, and that hasn't been discussed just yet. There's a budget coming on Monday, and surely we'll get more details into this austerity package that may occur, but more importantly, where she's going to find the financing to keep our social safety net up, although she's getting savings from the debt reprofiling. Let's see what happens.
Thanks so much, Jeremy, for talking to us. And we might have to talk to you after that budget, because that's going to be very interesting to see what the Prime Minister is going to have to say to the public, especially after this IMF report. Thank you for chatting with us.